This is Dana Robinson. I want to thank you for working your way through my course. Hopefully you've watched the instructional portion and now you're working your way through the practical portion. We're going to work on filing an actual trademark. This is going to save you hundreds of dollars, up to $1,000, maybe more. So I hope you've watched so that you've learned what we talked about in the instructional portion. And I hope you've also done some due diligence and watched my portion of the course about doing searches, because searching to be sure you're not going to get rejected or end up applying for a trademark that someone else claims rights to could save you a lot of time and hassle if you catch that first. So this is the last portion. This is the money portion. This is where you make your money back on this course. Lawyers charge anywhere from $400 to $700 to do this filing on top of the filing fee that the USPTO charges. And I'm going to walk you through filing your very own trademark. Let's start by going to uspto.gov. And you'll see in the middle there's some trademark things that are here. You can search the trademarks. There's the trademark process and an overview. You can learn a lot. Up here, if you just mouse over trademarks, you can actually go to File Online. Let's go to Filing Online. And there's some warnings and some things that you should probably read. I've read them and done a number of filings, so I don't need to read those. At this point, we want to start with an initial application. So we're going to actually apply for a trademark. Buckle up, stay with me on this, be patient. This is takes a little bit of time to get through this and understand what we're doing. We'll take some very short pauses along the way to be sure that you understand why we're doing the things that we're doing, because there are a couple of different ways to file a trademark, and I want to talk through each of those options as we go. So you can file using TIS Plus. TIS Plus is the cheapest way to file. It's only $225. You can also do a regular TIS application. This is a little more expensive, $275. And you expect that the trademark office for the extra $50 is going to help you refine the goods or services that you're filing. Now, I'm here to save you money, so we're not going to file a TIS application. We're going to file a TIS Plus application. Now, you get some instructions. This is a lot to digest in a course, so I'm going to skip the instructions, but it is absolutely worth your time the first time you file a trademark to read through the instructions, and be sure you take this a step at a time. The instructions are here for a reason. They weren't here in the beginning when they started this filing system almost 15 years ago. They're here as a result of people making mistakes and getting frustrated, so be cautious when you do your first application. Read the instructions, take your time. You have an hour to get through this program. Now, is an attorney filing this application? Normally I check yes, but since I'm here pretending I'm an individual so I can show you how to do it yourself, I'm going to say no. If you've previously started an application, it gives you a chance to upload it here. We haven't, so we're not going to check that. It gives us a little bit of warning. You should read those. Now, the owner of the mark. The owner of the mark is you. If you're an entity, then you'll want to put the entity, the full legal name of the entity. If you're not an entity, then you'll want to put your name. And in this case, I'm the applicant. You know who I am because you're watching my course, so I'm going to use my name. If I was running a business that had a fictitious business name or a DBA in my county, I could put that here. But I'm not. Trading as, a formerly, these are rarely used, but if you have a DBA for your business, you can certainly put it here. And then the entity type. I'm an individual, so I'm going to check that. But if I was a corporation, I would check this, and it's going to populate this form with a request for where the state is incorporated, whether it's in the US, in which state, or in a different country. You get the same essential question if you choose LLC. If you're a partnership, you need to identify the state it's incorporated in, and you need to say who the general partner is. So partnership, limited partnership, similar. Sole proprietorship is just going to say who the proprietors are. So if you are a DBA, then the sole proprietorship is going to be you. If it's a trust, you have to put the trust details, etc. Now this is pretty easy. We're just going to put individual. And it's going to be sure that it has an idea of who my citizenship is. It doesn't matter. You can file if you're not a U.S. citizen, but I am, so I'm going to put that. If you have an internal address, you'll put it. Law firms might, but for the most part, you're just going to have a regular address. My address is a P.O. box. Feel free to send me a Christmas card. You can put a phone number. It's recommended because if the USPTO has a problem and they can't reach you, it's worth putting. You can put a fax number if you're 90 years old and happen to use a fax all the time. But most of us are just going to put our email address, and we're going to click here to authorize the USPTO to communicate with us by email because that's the way we do things these days. You don't need to put a website address. Notice there's no red asterisk, so there's no requirement that you put anything in there, and I'm not going to. Now we're going to continue from here. It warns us that we should put a phone number. I'm going to continue because I know that they can reach me by email. Now we have several choices here when we file for our trademark. We're going to file for my new hotel, my new motel, in fact, Classy King, the Classy King motel. And we can file as standard characters. We can file as a design, which would be a logo or a stylized font. We can file as a sound. And there's other things that you can file as, but they're more technical. We're not going to get into them in this course. What we're going to file is just standard characters, and we're going to put Classy King Motel. That's our trademark. And we're going to, if you want to put an additional statement, for example, a disclaimer or an English translation, we can actually check this box. It's not necessary in most cases. If you have to translate it, you should actually check this box, but you can wait. For example, they're going to make us disclaim the word motel. You can wait until you get the refusal in order to do that. So, but let's check it just so you see what it looks like, and we're going to continue. Now it's opened up, it's given us the same page, but it's actually opened up some additional options. So now I can't claim the exclusive right to the word motel, can I? Classy King, that's mine. I'm gonna be the classiest king motelier in all of America. That's my trademark. But motel is just a word we're adding in there because we're always going to be called the Classy King Motel. That way people know we're a motel, the classy kind of place that people want to be. And so we're going to disclaim the word motel. Again, you don't have to do this. You could skip this if you don't understand it or don't know it, and wait until the USPTO processes it. They will then issue an office action that rejects your trademark and requires that you disclaim motel. You'll then have to discuss it with the trademark office and disclaim the word motel later. I'm saving a step by doing this now. If I used a Spanish word, I could, for example, disclaim or translate the word here. So translation of the word in the foreign language is blank. I don't have any foreign language, so I'm not required to, and there's a variety of other options that you can engage in here. These are fairly advanced. I wouldn't recommend doing them other than the disclaimer or the translation. Now let's click continue and move to the next step. Now here's the tricky part. How do you define the goods and services? You actually have to file your trademark for a particular set of goods and services. In this case, it's a motel, so we're going to add goods and services and hope that this will help us define what that means. Good. So we can search for hotel services. And this gives us a variety of options. It highlights the word hotel so we know. Is this a hotel management service? Of course not. Business management? No, no, no. See, these are all different things in different classes. Hotel accommodation services in 43. Hotel and motel services. Now I could click both of these. They're both in class 43, but they're redundant. Do I really need hotel accommodation services and hotel motel services? Probably not. So I'm going to uncheck one. Let's keep it simple. Let's not file for more things and be redundant with what we file. We can also click next and see if there's any other descriptions that use the word hotel that help us. If my hotel is going to offer a restaurant, then I might want to check hotel and restaurant services. I could check hotel services, but again, I already checked hotel and motel services on the previous page. There's all these different options. If I'm going to have pet hotel, I can add that. Providing hotel accommodations, reservation of hotel rooms for travelers. Now, if I have special software and I'm doing reservation services and maybe reserving other people's properties when I have my staff working for the motel, this might matter. So maybe I'll check that as well. And let's check the final page just to see if we see anything else that matters to us. Reservation of hotel rooms, same as I checked already. Residential hotel services. My motel is not going to be a residential hotel services. And it's not a resort, it's a classy motel. And we're not going to have concierge services for sure at my motel. We're not going to have a restaurant either. It's too motelish to bother with restaurant services. Now I've checked a couple of things. I can go up here and just check insert checked entries. And now what we've done is we have allocated one international class, 2 services within that class. I could add more if I want. I could remove by checking them and then removing them over here. But I like this. I think I'm happy with the result. Now, what am I doing with the trademark? I have to check whether it's a 1A, a 1B, a 44D, or a 44E. Don't get lost. Stick with me here. 1A means you actually are using the trademark. My motel isn't open yet, so I can't check that. If you're applying for a landscape service and you're already mowing lawns, you'll check 1A. The requirement, once you do check 1A, is that it's going to require that you attach a specimen that shows that you're using the mark, and it's going to require the date you started using it. For 1B, I'm not using it yet, so I'm going to check that and assign 1B as the basis. And it's not going to require me to attach a specimen because I'm not using it yet. If it was 44D, then it would mean I have a foreign application pending in another country and I want to claim priority back to that. And 44E says I have a foreign registration, not application, in another country and I want to tie this to that. Now, in this case, it's neither of those apply and I'm not using the mark yet. So I only have one option. It's 1B. So I'm gonna check that in a second, but before I do, I want to show you what 1A looks like. What if you were filing a trademark and you are using it? Then why not file based on use? And when I do this, it asks me to attach a specimen. So if I was going to do this, I would attach a specimen. It would be a hang tag for shirts if I was applying for clothing. If it's a hotel, I'd just attach a picture of the sign out in front. I would describe the services in what that specimen reflects. I would put a date of first use anywhere and a date of first use in commerce. Now, what's the difference? Almost never a difference at all. Your date of first use anywhere was probably a date of first use in commerce. But if your first use was a super tiny regional service, if my first hotel was one room in the back of my house, well, that's my first use anywhere. If I called it the Classy King Motel, and when I actually put a sign out and attract real travelers, that's use in commerce. So I might have different dates, but 90% of the time American businesses, the date they launch their company and put up a website is the date of their first use anywhere, and it's the same date for the date of their first use in commerce. Now, this needs to be the date you used the trademark for all of the goods you list. So if you use these goods up here, you need to be sure that you used all of those as of the date you put here. This is very important because if you put a date when you weren't yet using all of the services, then later someone comes along and says, hey, wait a minute, you didn't actually have hotel services yet when you filed this. Your trademark can be invalidated for fraud. So it would be forever subject to cancellation for fraud if you put a wrong date. Put the most recent date, even though you might have used it earlier, and a date that covers all the different uses. Now, I actually didn't use it. I'm just using this to show you what you do if you file the trademark based on use. So I think I can remove the 1A and go back here and click 1B. And with 1B, they want to be sure that I understand the rules. So they want to be sure I have a bona fide intent to use this. and that I will eventually need to file an allegation of use with a specimen and pay an additional fee. So now, I haven't used this yet. I haven't opened the Classy King Motel. When I do, I'm going to need to file a statement of use with the USPTO and pay another fee. Now, the fee is $150. It's not going to kill me, but they want to be sure you understand you're going to have to pay a fee down the road. If you have a lawyer working for you, you'll pay an additional fee for them to process this for you. It's pretty important as well is that the dates that happen along the way, you only get one reminder from the USPTO. You have to take responsibility to calendar those dates and be sure that you keep track of them. So they want to be sure you say you understand all of this, you've been warned before you can proceed. And then I'm going to assign the filing base. Filing basis is assigned now. Now, if I'm happy with this, I've got hotel and motel services in Class 43, reservation of hotel rooms for travelers, also 1B, Class 43. Now, what if I wanted a different service? What if I managed hotels as well? Well, if I added one of those other descriptions, for example, hotel management services in Class 35, I could do that here. But now I would have two classes of goods and services, and this will double the fee. So you can certainly add more services than what I've identified here. You just have to understand that when you click next and you get to the payment screen, you're going to be paying $225 per class for this trademark. At this point, I'm working on the Classy King. My money is going into the business. I don't want to pay double the $225. I want to pay just $225. So I'm sticking with one class, even if I might do hotel management services later. I'll apply later if I'd like to. We're going to continue. Now here it's asking for the correspondent information. This is you. If you have a lawyer that you would like to receive this, you could certainly put their number here. But lawyers usually want to be paid, so they usually don't want you just listing them. It's populated with all my information already, which is convenient. I can put a phone number in again if I'd like. And here's a convenience. You can put more than one email. So if your wife is your business partner, or you have a business partner that you want to be notified as well, you can add them as a contact. Even though you're the primary applicant, you can add someone else's address. I, for example, would always put my paralegal so that I'm ensuring that she gets notice. And you hit continue. The money. Okay, so there's a couple ways to sign this. Signing directly is the easiest. You can email it to someone else for signature. So if you're preparing this for your boss and the boss is the principal, then you can actually check this. It will give you a means to email the signature form to the boss. The boss signs online, submits it to you, comes back to you, and you submit it and pay, and it works fantastically. Or if your client is 95 years old and uses a fax machine, then you can actually use a handwritten pen and ink signature and send them to this and then resubmit it that way. I haven't used that in all of my legal career. We sign directly. In this case, it says that signature that's required is your name between slashes. It will date itself as I tab through. I have to put my name again because remember what I put above is my signature. Now my name, applicant, owner, attorney of record, could be anything that I want. It could be partner. In this case, remember, I'm the applicant, so I could put owner. I could put applicant as well. And it gives me another chance to put a phone number. This is wise. The trademark office, if they find a problem, will call you. So feel free to put a phone number. I never feel the need to because my email works 100% of the time. We're going to validate this. And this basically ensures that it has all of the information, letting me know I should put the phone number in again. And I'm not gonna. And now we're at the final stage of payment. So here we have the ability to look at the application. You can look at it just to be sure it's correct. You can have it in what the input looks like. And this is literally all of the information that we put in the trademark. You can look at the mark itself, the Classy King Motel. You can export it in XML if you're a sophisticated user that needs the data in a table, or in simple text. Now it's populated the email acknowledgement here, and you have to repeat the email again just to be sure that it's an email that you've got correct. It wants you to acknowledge that you're not getting your money back. Once you file this, you don't get a refund, and your document is public, so this becomes a public document immediately, and you have no right to confidentiality. And then when I'm done with all of that and I'm happy, then I can hit pay submit. Now, this, I'm in the secure payment mode. If you don't have a deposit account or an EFT account like I have, then you simply pay with a debit or credit card. Now, you fill this information out, choose the card, put your card information. You'll be charged $225 when you hit continue, and then you'll be done. You will get a confirmation email, and you will have applied for a federal trademark application. You can congratulate yourself. Now remember, the USPTO has 6 months before they even have to respond to the trademark application, so don't get stressed. It won't even be assigned to an examiner for 2 to 3 months. Once the trademark office examines it, they'll respond to you within 6 months. It might be an approval. They might say the Classy King is ready to go. They might say we have a problem because we don't understand something that you said in the application, or they may say we think this is likely to be confused with the Classy Queen or the Classy Princess or some other hotel brand that maybe I didn't notice in my search. So it's possible in 6 months that I get a trademark refusal, and it's possible that it goes through fine. Look out for more courses in the future for what to do if you get a trademark rejection, but in the meantime, congratulations, you know what you need to know to file a trademark application on your own and save $1,000. Thank you very much.